he got the bad treatment, she got the good treatment. Maybe she felt that she didn't deserve the good treatment when it wasn't for everybody.
I didn't mean to say that she was good. What I saw in that woman is just that she was ugly. The thing was, he would just quiet down and take it or walk away. And I, even as a young teenager, would say to her, why don't you just shut the fuck up and leave him alone?
See, but what's interesting about that is she's actually doing her father's behavior.
Yes.
She's the one that's just doing the shit that he did. And how is he? And here's a perfect example of the polarity opposites. She's over pushing. This is why we're drawn into certain relationships, because it's to bring us back to balance. If they had gotten their lesson, she would have chilled down a little bit, and he would have learned to be more assertive. Because if he had pushed herself, just like Beth was saying, if he had stood up more, he would have demanded respect, which meant she would have to stand up to the table, or the relationship would end. That's how we dance around and fuck up shit, because we're like trying to dance around. No, if you stand up and say, this is what I want, and this is what I'm going to get, and then that person reacts or they get the fuck out, right? So she's actually doing the behavior that was actually unhealthy for her father.
And see, I asked him for years, why have you not left her? Why do you take that from her? Because he would never disrespect a woman by talking back on the same level. Didn't even think it, he would just say, he would tell me, you need to just let it roll off your shoulders. You know, I just let it go.
Because that was his belief, that you don't.
Yeah, which led to his own issues,
But
his own
you didn't
physical
do that.
problem.
You didn't.
So do you
yourself.
feel that
She
you've
does have a
taken the role
relationship.
your dad took?
Probably.
Yeah, totally.
Because he's.
I mean, I just wanted to see if she acknowledged
sorry.
that.
What did you say then?
That she has taken the role of her
Okay.
dad, basically,
So now
in the relationship.
let's bring this back to full circle. Remember judgment? This is yes, no extremes, right? So Katie, watch this. So here's your mom being a bitch, here's your dad being a pushover. Somewhere in the center they need to come to balance, okay? You've got a judgment on your dad being good and your mom being bad. Those two will never meet. And the purpose of the relationship, from my perspective, was to bring that together. It's to kill duality. You kill duality by bringing the opposite to you to clear. That's all it is. Maybe you now can clear that for them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You've got to bring these two together. And this will never come to this until you drop the judgment on both of them. Does that make sense? As long as you still judge your mom and as long as you judge your dad in a positive way. Because good, this is what I'm getting at. Any belief system, good or bad, fucks you. I don't care. Even if it's good, it's still a judgment.
Yes.
Which means even if this is good, you're still pushing something away. That's how we screw up relationships. Oh, this is what good is. And then what if something, we compare it to something else and we never get exactly what we want. So
It's hard to separate a judgment when you've got, I'm just going to stick with them. You know, I would rather have been around him than been around her. So
Right.
it was just a case of feelings.
yeah.
You know, you don't consider that as being.
But that's where our judgment comes from. This feels good, this feels bad. It's really simple. It's what a little cell would do, an amoeba. It's going to go towards what feels good and away from bad. But we don't want to. Don't want to be on that level anymore. You know, we've evolved past.
We want to accept both,
Yeah.
good and bad.
If you want to have a life where they can flow, because she cannot flow. She's in restriction.
Right.
She's in restriction and she can't flow, and this is the physical result of that. If you want to go with the flow, sometimes she's going to have to say, fuck no, and stand up. Other times she does what the dad does. But right now she's got these two separate, and she can't bring them down to the center. And if you can't bring them down to the center, you're locked into one or the other. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And you're literally dualistic. You are split mind, you're schizophrenic, you're crazy.
What is she resisting?
She's resisting saying what she needs to do. She's resisting being more like her mom, period. Okay? Because she judges her mom.
And did you hear the words restriction and flow in terms of the body?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
I'd like to bring it back into like the jar, the brain in the jar, what creates the toxins. So if it's the thoughts, patterns, and beliefs that are created by self as your perspective based on these programs, then the programs of judgment being ugly, hateful, all those things that you just named about your parents. But basically, I see it as those are just giving a vibrational match to each other. So in order to get out of those vibrational matches, either good, what we perceive as good, or bad as a vibrational match to each other, just those are emanating. So just get out of those altogether.
I know, but you were so close to what I wanted you to say.
Well,
You didn't say it.
tell us.
Okay. Say that one more time, and I'll say something in one part. Can you
Okay.
say that again?
All right. Well, I did make little notes. Okay, so the brain in the jar. How does it create toxins? Okay, those are the thoughts, patterns, and beliefs created by self's perceptions based on programs. based on self's programs.
Right.
So the programs of judgment are all those things that you were judging by. Those are your programs of judgments, or all those things you said were, you know, like ugly, helpful,
Okay,
bad, blah,
there,
blah.
there.
Okay.
Those judgments are really of what? If there's only one brain, what are the judgments of?
Self.
Self.
That's it.
Judgments of self.
Our
right.
judgment of self is what's creating the reality.
Right.
And that person showed up to show the judgment. Okay? So that person's.
Oh, I
See?
like
There we
it.
go.
I like it.
So you cannot get back into heaven until we clear our judgments. And the negative reality comes to us is trying to get us to clear that judgment. So what if she was born into this life back to begin off to drop this? And maybe now it's time.
Very good. I like that.
And when we think about it, it's like, another thing that they say in Harvard, the only rule is there are no rules. And that it's not right, wrong, good or bad, it is what it is. If you didn't get what you got, you either asked the wrong question or you asked the question wrong.
So what can we tap on Katie? But she's been, we've already done a lot, just talking changes things. But what can we kind of tap in just through one quick thing around this? We know it's going to be about judgment of self now, right? What if it's like this? When I am pushy, I judge myself to be what? Ugly. That's full circle right there, right?
Mhm.
When I'm blank, I am. So, but that means she can't be blank. And that even goes for the good things we have. So, when I'm blank, I'm blank. Huh, I've heard of that. So, let's go with this. I'm sorry, Donna, you were going to say something. Did I imagine that?
Well, I have a couple of things I was going to say, but I don't want to interrupt what you're doing right now. I'll
Let
leave
me
it at that.
finish this then, okay? And anybody this resonates with y'all, feel free to.
Which fingers are you doing?
I'm just starting with the lung first, the lung point. Just the normal points we go through. So doing lung, and we're going to go straight to the thing, straight to it's just all in her head. Period, okay? When I'm pushy, I'm a perfect. When I'm pushy, I'm a bitch. I'm going to leave that blank, and you keep whatever new thing, because there are going to be a couple of things here. So I'm going to leave the I'm, and you fill it in, okay? When I'm pushy, I'm. When I'm pushy, I'm. When I'm pushy, I'm. When I see, I like this. I like this word. When I'm pushy, I'm. When I'm pushy, I'm. So I'm getting stuck on stomach, and she said recently she had that whole vomiting thing. It's like this has reached a head where it's like it's gone beyond this issue. Now the stomach is just fuck it. I'm done with it. Remember I said the stomach's like I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this. I'm stressed out. No more. I'm done with this situation because she cannot take it in anymore. Is what that means, right?
But also selfish is when you feed yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I love that, Beth. Because think about that. Laura, it does perfectly. Beth said, to feed yourself is really selfish. But you know what? We can't live unless we feed ourselves. I love that analogy. I love that. Perfect. Remember, write that down for me.
And earlier she was saying that she was eating, what did you say at the very beginning? She was eating a lot, nothing was really working.
The ginger.
The ginger.
Your stomach is upset.
But I love that right there, what Beth said, because when you feed yourself, it is a selfish act, if you think about it. But you know what? You can't fucking live unless you feed yourself. I like that. I really like that. Okay. So, although I've been believing that by being pushy, I'm yeah, fine. I love and accept myself. And I choose to be able to see that getting what I need is important in my own life.
To my survival.
To what?
To her survival.
Thank you. I choose to see or recognize that when I get what I need, say that again, Beth.
It's important to my survival.
It's important to my survival to get what I need, which is honest and true. If you don't eat, you're going to be in trouble, right?
I'm not about selfish.
It's important to my survival to get what I need, See, and the liver is about getting rid of those toxins, which is about surviving. That's why anger, sometimes you set a boundary, right? There's another aspect that we go into, but the protective energy of the body is governed by liver, okay? It's the energy that martial artists break bricks and things with. It's not the physical body. The physical body never really hits the brick. It's an energy field that you create. Like punching your fist in, the back. I see these like the Shaolin monks, they punch their hands in beans. And that constant thing is building up the energy around the hand, so finally they can break things. But it's a Wei Qi. And the Wei Qi is a physical, mental, emotional, energetic protection shield. Hers is shot to shit. Okay? So she keeps absorbing toxins. So she may be eating correctly, but she's still gaining weight because she's absorbing energetic toxins in her environment. So I can finally say no. No. And not be like, oh, I'm so bad for saying no. No, you need to fucking say no. Or you're killing yourself. When I'm pushy, let me say this. Although I believe that when I'm pushy, I love and accept myself. Although I believe that when people are pushy, they are. I love and accept myself. So she doesn't want to be difficult to be around, right? Although I believe that that when people are pushy, they are. What? Okay, it's fine.
Disrespectful.
Hard
Hard to be around.
I was thinking they're like my mother and I don't want to be like my mother.
Well, that's a huge theme underneath there. But imagine the environment when she was a kid. Here's a yelling mom all the time. And hard to be around. That's a horrible. And she was probably still picking up those toxins way back then because she was trying to shield her father. So she's like, here, let me take it on. She's still in that pattern. It's like, no, you know what? Maybe if he got pushed far enough, he would learn what he was in that relationship to learn. Maybe that person in that abusive relationship needs to be hit a couple of times, and this is horrible for me to say, but I get this now, needs that for them to finally learn to not take it.
Yes.
Okay? If you try to shelter people, they don't get it. They will not fucking get it. You cannot learn for people. She's trying to take on the poison. I'll take it for you. Well, she's going to die in the process. So that pattern of her trying to protect her father is moved into trying to protect everybody else. When actually, let everybody do what they need to do. As a matter of fact, she's probably created some negative patterns in that relationship by trying to take on too much and not let other people be responsible for themselves.
Hooah.
Okay. Although I believe that when I'm pushy, I love and accept myself. Although I feel difficult to be around, when I'm pushy, I choose to know, feel, and experience that everyone gets what they need when I express my needs. Everyone gets what they need when I express my needs. See the uncomfortability with that?
Yeah.
I can't say that without. Oh. Everyone gets what they need when I express my needs.
That's the oxymoron there.
See, but her mom, what do you think about it? My brain plays with shit like this. Why do you think her mom was so pushy? Because she never got what she needed. She learned that the only way she was going to get what she needed was to be overly pushy, right? Okay? So if you look at it that way, I feel sorry for the mom.
A lot
Honestly.
of times in that kind of a relationship,
Yeah, she never got what she needed.
he's obviously being passive to deal with her. Well, she's probably wanting somebody who's not so passive, so she's going to push to,
Right.
to
So the point I'm trying to get at is that everybody would have got what they needed if everybody expressed their needs in that relationship to begin with. And if it wasn't going to work out, it just wasn't going to fucking work out, right? If everybody expressed what they need, it's all going to fall into place. Did you stop all the dancing bullshit?
Another thing we say in the program is be particular.
Say that? Be particular about being critical?
What else?
And there's a thing about, what's that term? Positive communication, something along that lines. You're not when you communicate with somebody, you don't go like, you make me feel.
Right.
That's putting blame on somebody else.
Right.
You own your
Use I
feelings. That's like,
statements.
it's like, I don't like that, period.
Yeah, you use I statements.
And we're often manipulated by other people pushing our buttons, but we let them push our buttons.
But the thing is, even though you do say that, you know, you own what you are and you explain it that way, it really gets me, it still pisses the other person off, you know? Because I had that a few weeks ago, you know, emailing someone and explaining, owning my own feelings to what they were judging me about, and it didn't work, and it doesn't work, you know, they still continue judging and get more pissed
Yeah,
off by
but-
you trying to share what
But
your
that's
own
about
stuff.
them. It's about
Yeah.
them.
Right, and if you're not careful,
Yeah.
that can be coming from another negative pattern within yourself.
At least
you know
they're
what I
not
mean?
controlling
So
us,
it
but we
comes
take
to
responsibility.
everything kind of comes back to me, to yourself, your own pattern. So whatever you find yourself in with, if it's all just you, what is that person mirroring about your judgment? That's what it is. If you're judging yourself, maybe you need somebody to come along to make you feel judged, to let you go, oh.
So you can quit judging yourself.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Well, where I was really
Judging
coming from
yourself.
is way back when, you know, in being educated in how to communicate with people and, you know, counsel people. That was one of the techniques that we learned about, you know, to own what we have to say and not to say you did
Sure.
this or that, but say whenever I feel this way when I observe you doing this, you know. And that seemed to be like, oh gosh, that's a perfect technique of being able to not make that other person feel defensive or feel judged or whatever, but because you were talking from yourself.
Right.
But as I said, no matter how many times I've tried to use that way of communicating, it seems like it doesn't do what it was supposed to originally do, you know?
But
To
again,
me,
I
it's
think it
once
does
you get your
myself.
part in the whole thing, then the whole energy crumbles. Because it takes our energy to keep a pattern going, you know. And sometimes it's like if two people are throwing energetic negativity towards each other, you may have to take it in the face, but then I'd rather do that than drop a negative situation. Somebody read small.
But it's all about in here.
Let
It
me-
doesn't
somebody-
feel like in the face
Small
when we're
intestine.
really.
Let
When
me-
I was reading these before, like, I'd read one here and one in liver, and read them back and forth.
Good
It's
for you.
like, they respond to each other.
Cool.
That,
So share your-
because you're feeling vulnerability, it makes you frustrated.
Right.
Because you're feeling abandoned, you get angry. Because you're,
She's doing exactly what you should be. She's doing the small intestine. And what I'm saying
Yeah, and
is,
just build-
I've forgotten
You're
about
stuck on-
I've forgotten about the liver and small intestine, but here I'm tapping. She goes, "Oh, that's sore." Well, I mean, small intestine, right? So read small
Okay.
intestine for us, Laura.
insecure, deserted, absent-minded, lost, neglected, deprived of love, deprived of safety.
So when you're deprived of something, you gotta be able to ask for it, right? That's stating that need, like Beth said about being selfish. About, hey, I'm hungry. Where's my hot dog? Or-
no, hot dog.
Deprived of intimacy,
Corn dog.
deprived of nourishment, deprived of warmth, dark secret. And dark secret reflects toxic.
Oh, I like that.
Can these all be things that you do to yourself as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. She's depriving herself of these. Now you can look back. You know, this is the whole thing about the brain in the jar. You can look back in life and say, "My mom never gave me this." No. But really, if you look at your life now, she's not giving to herself because she's not saying, "This is what I want." She's not going by looking at the menu and going, "I want this." It's like, "Oh, here's some slop. Oh, that looks good."
What I was going to say earlier was that something you were talking about reminded me of what William Dyer said, that I'm not subjected to the good opinions of others. And when I first heard that, I thought, what in the world does that mean? And I started thinking over it several days, and I went, you know, he's right. Sometimes people can have such a good opinion about us because we're this, that, or the other, and they admire that we get stuck in a box of being that good person or that whatever, and that can
We fall off pedestals.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing about it is this goes back to that self-immunity. If you have no sense of self and you're wanting other people to validate you, then it depends on any given moment what that person is doing to you. Not everybody's going to love you. So somebody's like, oh, they're going to be building you up, but that building up is never going to do shit unless you do it to yourself first. So you can have somebody building you up, and the next day somebody's tearing you down. You're all over the place because you have no immunity because you're not within yourself. Once you're calm within yourself, you really don't care too much about what other people think. You're like thankful, but it's not like, oh, my life is better now. That's not a good example.
The other thing I was going to say,
I think that's the story of the three little pigs.
The three little pigs.
Did we let you finish reading the list? Or did we just stop the reading?
There was just like unable to receive, forgetfulness, and difficulty expressing emotions.
I'd say that was time then, because if you're not saying how you really feel. And Donna, what were you saying again?
the last, I was just trying to bring back in what I was saying earlier. I told you I'd wait until you.
Oh, heck,
The last thing I was just going to say is, I really like what you're saying here about the fact that everything is really, that there's only one relationship in our life.
Exactly, there's only one relationship.
There's only one relationship, it's us.